They got problems on problems on problems on problems on problems on problems. I solve them. I run through the money. Depression be calling. Look for my blessings. I feel like I'm falling. The birdie is back. Tell me I'm garbage. I'm going through something. That's why I ain't calling. Phone and progression is all that I wanted. The phone and affection. I summon and dummy.
Guys, welcome back to the channel. So today I kind of just want to go over a few things when building the turbo kit, what I've had to order. We're not really building a whole entire turbo kit. We're still using the CG Fab manifolds that we've had this whole time, but we're gonna have to redo some of the hot side, the exhaust side, and we're gonna have to redo some of the cold side. So I just want to give you guys kind of an idea of the things I've already ordered. So I do have the engine. It's wrapped up. I actually added these little eyelet things so I could put some straps on it just to help it be a little more sturdy, but Branson's gonna come get that today, so that's gonna actually ship out tomorrow. So we're good to go on the engine. I pulled out the converter. The converter is in this box, drained, ready to go. So you can see, no converter now. But things people probably don't think about is, for instance, these manifold gaskets. This is a good time to replace them. Obviously the headers are off. It's a perfect time to replace those. So I ordered those. I actually ordered new studs and nuts that go through the manifold, and I'm actually going to send these off to get coated. That way they last a little bit longer and then they dissipate heat better. So we're going to send those off. So like I said, I ordered the gaskets for those, new nuts and bolts or studs and nuts for the headers. Say that 5 times. We're going to have to remake that merge pipe. So I had to order a T6 flange because the new turbo is a T6. That one's a T4. And so I had to order T6 flange, T6 gasket. I'm going to get new bolts and nuts for the turbo to mount to that. And then we're actually going to be utilizing something like a Maven Mount, probably. Maven makes these cool mounts that attach underneath the turbo, I think where the oil return goes, or maybe I think it's where the oil return goes. But anyways, that way we can mount the turbo where we need it, and then you just attach some chromoly piping to wherever you need to support it. So our plan is to center mount the turbo. I don't know if we're going to actually do it, but we really want to center mount the turbo. And that's why we would have to utilize a Maven mount, because it mounts to the turbo, and then you can weld some chromoly to it and then weld it, like say to the frame or something to support it, or down to the K-member. But we really want to center mount the turbo. I just don't know if it's for sure going to happen, but we have to either lay the air to water flat or lower the air to water, and the turbo would go right here. The problem with that is the radiator is probably the biggest deal. The air to water can pretty much go anywhere. It is pretty large, so it's kind of limited, but the air to water could essentially go anywhere. The radiator, I don't really want to mount it in the back, because then that adds even more weight to the car, and this car is already getting heavier by some of the mods we're about to do. So I'm trying to not add weight if I don't need to. A lot of people do rear mount their radiators and they don't have a problem, but that's even more hose that I have to run to the back that's got fluid in it. So I think I'm gonna do something like a half-size radiator, something like they use in Hondas and imports, those little half-size radiators, and mount it off to the side, one side or the other of the turbo. We do want to run the exhaust past the firewall this time. Reason for that is because I'll fit a lot of more true street rules. So the problem with having the hood exit exhaust, it looks really cool, it sounds really good, it comes out the hood, but the problem is you get kicked out of a lot of true street classes, and literally that is the one rule that kicks me out of a lot of classes, is the hood exit. Everything else I pretty much have. The only other thing I might be missing is maybe a radio, but we can add that back in, no big deal. It doesn't even add, it adds literally like 2 pounds. So we are most likely going to try and run the exhaust past the firewall, which the firewall is right there. It's not that far, and then we would just dump it. So we just don't know where we're going to do it. This side would be kind of tough because the alternator's on this side, and there's really not much room above the alternator. And really don't want to go below the K-member, because then the exhaust is the lowest point, and I don't know how I feel about that yet. But because the exhaust is going to be 5-inch, I don't have any 5-inch pipe up there, but 5-inch is pretty large, so you can only go so many ways with it. But we may have to hug the underside of the K-member. My thought was that since we don't have the AC condenser right here, it could, and the compressor, whatever, it could go maybe alongside the headers and then just kind of fall down in there. but it's kind of tight in there, as you can see as well. So I'm not too sure about that. That's something we'll have to figure out when the engine gets back from RPG and when we get it back mounted into the car. So anyways, I've started to order. I ordered a 5-inch V-band, 5-inch V-band flange aluminum to make the exhaust, because we're going to do aluminum this time. We're not going to do stainless steel or titanium. Aluminum is still way lighter than stainless steel, but not as expensive as titanium. And especially it's going to be a longer exhaust this time, most likely. We're going to utilize some aluminum. So like I said, I've had to order a lot of like small knick-knack things that you just need, and the stuff adds up over time, like the gaskets, the bolts, the flanges, the V-band clamps. So that stuff really adds up. You wouldn't think it does, but like a Maven Mount, I think is like 130 bucks. The flange that comes up to your merge, the merge we're gonna need, that's like 170 bucks. The gaskets are cheap. V-band clamps can range from like 20 to 30 bucks. The V-band flanges, aluminum, can range from like 20 to 30 bucks. New manifold gaskets, those were cheap. They were like 15 bucks a piece. The new studs and nuts for the headers, I think it was like 30, 40 bucks for all of them. So it's really small stuff, but it really adds up. I think like I was trying to add up everything else I need. I'm shipping off the converter today to JPC. Huge shout out to Eric over at JPC. They're gonna get the converter spec'd for the new setup, get that taken care of. That way we can put the power down. So I gotta ship that off today. I'm looking for someone to do the coating on the headers, which I'm pretty sure I know someone already. I just need to send that off. And I really wanna send off the rest of the hot pipes, but I don't know exactly everything that we're using. The only things I know for sure we're using is the headers. We might have to redo the dump tubes, the cross, and the merge. It just depends on if we end up center mounting the turbo or just leaving it where it is and redoing the merge. So I'm pretty sure I'm going to get the upper radiator pipe coated and then the coolant overflow tank. But guys, all that stuff, it really adds up, I'm telling you. And then shipping stuff gets expensive, so it really adds up. It's just things to think about when you're thinking about building your own turbo kit. I know I went over it when we did the first turbo kit, but just some insight for you guys on all the small things that I've had to order. And like I said, I'll have to order some actual 5-inch exhaust pipe, which that can range from like $200 to $300 depending on how much you need. The bigger you go, and by it being aluminum, it gets more expensive. If you need a tight radius, it gets more expensive. And then no matter what, we'll probably have to redo this cold side pipe that goes to the turbo, just depending on where the turbo actually sits. But like I said, I really, really want to center mount the turbo. We'll just see how that goes. So I'm going to go get this converter shipped off to JPC, and we'll pick this up in a little bit. That's how close I am to losing my shit. Damn, that's close. All right, guys, so we did get the engine shipped off. As you can see, it's no longer over there. And you saw in the previous clip that the engine has been shipped out. Huge thanks to Branson. My IMRC lockouts did come in from BL Fab. Huge thanks to BL Fabrication. So I'm going to show you guys. I'll show you guys over there. These are the IMRCs. Essentially, it just opens and closes these flaps inside the intake manifold. And obviously, it's for drivability stuff and for fuel mileage. Anyways, we're going to get these taken out. Like I said, I always had them turned off in the tune. I just never actually did the actual IMRC lockouts. So I'm going to get these removed and install the BL Fab lockout kit. All right, so there's the ugly IMRC taken out. And we got the nice BL Fab little brackets in there. Looks super good. Cleans up the engine bay a little bit. And you don't need those. So super easy. I think these were like 25 bucks. Pretty inexpensive. I've seen people make their own, but 25 bucks and they fit perfectly. Use the OEM bolts in there, so pretty easy to do. So I'm currently headed to ship off the headers and the overflow coolant tank. Now, I really wanted to ship off and get the rest of the hot parts coated, but with us planning to center mount the turbo, I don't know exactly what pieces we're going to reuse, if any, but I do know the headers for sure we're going to reuse, and the coolant overflow we're going to for sure reuse. I was going to do the upper radiator pipe, but we might switch to a half-size radiator, and that may move the mounting point for the actual upper radiator hose. So I didn't want to coat that one as well in case we have to chop it up and re-weld it to match the new radiator. So that stuff I just don't know for sure yet, but I will send that off to get coated once we're done with that, if we have time before the flashlight shootout or before 2K. So it's funny, I was kind of asking around and looking around for some coating places, And going back to my import days, I used to actually use Detective Coatings, Justin Mahoney out of Virginia, I believe. So I'm actually sending my stuff there, which is really cool. He did some really awesome work for me back in the day on my Evo. So I'm shipping him my headers and my coolant overflow tank. And he said the turnaround is like 1 to 2 weeks, which works perfectly because obviously the engine won't be back before then. And so hopefully those will be back by the time the engine is coming around, and everything will kind of just come at the same time. So we've got a lot more work to do on the Mustang, but we do plan on center mounting the turbo. I'm getting a Maven Performance mount kit where that actually attaches to like the oil. I think it goes like right where the oil return line is, and then you can weld directly to that. So I'll show you guys that stuff when it comes in, just to keep you updated on some of the stuff we're doing. But hopefully you guys enjoyed that video. If you did like it, give it a big thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and we'll see you guys on the next one.